Thank you, Francesca. Thank you, our wonderful band. Oh, my God. Isn't it so nice to have drums again? Thank you, Andy. Thank you. All right. You can see clearly now. Okay, is it not beautiful out there? Is it just spectacular? Oh, didn't know if it was going to be raining today when I picked that song. And then the other one, didn't you? I just wanted to come out and pull a thing with water on me and, from Flashdance. So anyway, my first slide, Gilmore. We believe in the natural goodness of life, that the universe conspires to fulfill your greatest good. Now, sometimes that may not feel that way, right? Sometimes you wonder about that. But this is what we believe. And even in the so-called negative things, there's always something there for us, some nugget there for us. My next slide, please. So Friday I had to go into the LA area, and I took this picture because, how long has it been since we've had snow like this? It is just breathtaking. Now, I don't want to live in it. Okay, that's why I live in the desert, and here's the thing. That snow then is going to melt and we're going to have water. I remember when I moved here to the desert in 1976, my business partner, she had told me, you never have to worry about water because we have all the aquifers and all this water underground. Of course, we only had one stoplight in the valley then. I could get, like I said, from the Indio Courthouse to Palm Springs in like 20 minutes. I can't even get to Palm Desert in 20 minutes anymore. So anyway, but to me that was like going back into the past, and just let's look at all the things in our life that are beautiful and that are there for us to appreciate. My next slide, Gilmore. So my talk today is Back to the Future. And the reason I picked that title is because sometimes we have to go back to clean up stuff from the past. Have you ever noticed that sometimes in your life it's the same old story, the same old type of people? I read somewhere that you can be in a party and there could be one person, let's say you're an alcoholic, for instance. There'll be one other person in there that's alcoholic. You will find that person. Or you'll be attracted. There's a magnet there, and then or just a certain type of personality. And you go, why do I always keep picking the same people in my life? Well, what's the common denominator? You. My next slide. So learn from the past and think of the future. So if you think about your life, you really need to go back to the back really far. That way you can clean up the back, and so you know where your future's going. I remember years ago, actually it was when I first started searching for something. I don't remember. I didn't know what it was, but I knew that there was something missing in my life. I have a dear friend, and we had gone to celebrate her 40th birthday. We went skiing, and I just started crying about my life. Was just friggin' mess, and I didn't know what to do. And she said, I want to take you down to San Diego, this lady. And her name was Esperanza, and she was kind of like a teacher, a healer. And I remember on one of our sessions and it was a group of us, she did this kind of like a life regression kind of thing, not quite, but she did that. And I remember I had this feeling that I was in the womb of my mother. And I could feel this like fear and tension all around me, but I didn't really understand what it was. And my aunt from the Philippines was visiting. And I said, Tita, can you what was going on with Mom and Dad at the time that Mom was pregnant with me? And so you have to understand, my mom was 19 years old. And my dad was in the Merchant Marines. They met in the Philippines at the wartime and stuff, or after. I don't know when it was. But anyway, they met then. And my mom lied about her age. She came to the United States, and my dad and her were married. Now, my mom had been raised very wealthy. In the Philippines, you were either really poor or you had money. And she wasn't even allowed in the kitchen to cook. Okay, she wasn't allowed. That was, And so there was a lot of fear. And then my mom got pregnant like 2 months after they got married with me. And, she's used to having servants, as they called them, And literally, my mom, this is how my mom was. She'd have somebody that would have to scratch her at night. And if my mother woke up and she wasn't being scratched, she'd hit her, that was just the culture. She didn't know any different. So here she comes to the United States. Now she's got to cook. She doesn't even know how to cook. So there was a lot of fear when I was in her womb, and I felt that fear. Isn't that amazing that you would go back, and how would I know about that at that time? But yet I felt that fear. One of my first memories as a child, think back at your memories. What are some of the things that stand out? This is a really crazy one. Remember those, and I think they still have those jammies where they zip you up? I hated that. I still to this day know that it comes from that, you see how I use my hands, right? To be like in a straitjacket, it was murder for me. So you look at those things, and at least it gives you an understanding. So go back to your childhood. What are some of the patterns that you have in your life, and yet you're just knowing that, God, why does this keep coming up in my life? It's something for you to look at. Something that maybe you need to heal and move on from. They say that people that have addictions and so forth, it's because that's the only time they feel at ease, at peace, when they're doing their drugs or their alcohol. And there's something there in their childhood. That reminded me, when I was working on it, I said, I need to talk to my boys and find out, where did I screw up? What are you blaming me for? Or what, or what were the good things? It's not always bad things. There are wonderful memories that you have that you want to bring forward and you bring into your life. But if there's something going on, that's why I like my Ho'oponopono, because you take full responsibility of your feelings. It's not the other person that's triggering it. It's you. You wouldn't be triggered. You'd be like, oh, well, there they go. But you wouldn't be triggered by it. And so that's why we learn from the past so we can move forward. I was the only child my brother wasn't born until I was 7. And I still have memories of my parents fighting, okay, big time. But they were always very sweet to me. But they had a contentious relationship. I don't know how they stayed married all the years they did, but they're good Catholics, and that's what you do. And in fact, at one point, I told my dad, I said, why don't you leave, Mom? Do it for my sister and my brother. I have already been through it. Do it for them, because I have a sister that's 19 years younger than me. But they didn't. They stayed together. But I look back on my life at those things, and what are and I think that's, like I talked about, like I don't like people controlling me or saying, no, you can't do this or that. And that's from my past. That has a thing where I became rebellious. And I also think that's where I got my sense of humor. If you meet my sister and my brother, we all have this kind of snark. Oh, hello, Daddy. We Is that you, Dad, calling me? We have these things that come up in our life. Do you have patterns in your life? Do you see patterns, things that give you such joy, or things that just just really, or it's like nails on the chalkboard, right? And so it's good to learn from the past. My next slide, Gilmore. So your old life leads you into your new life. Do the best you can until you know better. Then when you know better, do better. Okay, so here's the thing, and I talked about my famous A word a few weeks ago. I won't repeat it. But here's the thing. What are those triggers and what can you learn? How can you be a better person? Because truly, each one of us is here to be that light in the world. We are that light. And where do you feel the best in your life? It's when you are really doing something kind and thoughtful for someone else. When you're being a bad person, angry, then how is that helping the world? How is that? Now, that doesn't mean that there aren't things that you have to do. My husband and I split up, and my children were 5 and 7, and it was my decision. It was one of the hardest things I did because of them. I did not want to disrupt their lives. But what my husband and I did was we talked about it and so forth, and we decided the most important thing were the boys. And, and it was, we weren't going to talk badly about each other. He would come over and stay at my house if I had to go out of town and watch the boys. And we had a really good parenting style. But still, I always felt, God, did I do the wrong thing by the boys? And I remember one day, my youngest son, he was like in his late 20s, he said, Mom, thank you and Dad for splitting up. That was the best thing you did for us. Because looking back, they could see why I did it and personality things and forth, but never spoke that. And so, the thing is being kind all the time and being respectful. There are reasons people do the things they do, and it may on one aspect look like, oh, they did it to hurt me, or they weren't thinking, or they were being selfish. But really, they were doing it because maybe they loved you. And I can't remember who the person was. I saw him talking, and he said that during the war, his mom had to give him away for 6 weeks to save him. All he felt was abandoned. Not that what she was doing was to protect him. He recognized that that was an issue. What are some of your issues with your background, your family, your relationships? What could you learn about how you can change your life or help other people? The old life, you've got to really look at it so you can step into the new life. And, and that's what you want. Don't want you to think because we're going back to the old way of doing service that we're going all the way back. But what we're doing is giving ourselves that feeling of what we remember that was so sweet and wonderful. And yet you're going to hear about so many things that we have planned for our center in the future that we're really excited about. But sometimes you got to clean up that old life and to move forward with the new life. My next slide, please. Always say yes to the present moment. Surrender to what is, say yes to life, and see how life suddenly starts working for you rather than against you. And that's so true, So when I went to that lady, Esperanza, I went down there for a little while. But then what I noticed is I call them Esperunis. They were people that kept going there, but I didn't see their lives changing, right? And, and I don't want this to be a place where you go here every week and hear this, and your life isn't changing. What can you take away? What are you inspired to look at your life and to say, this has to change because this is what I want? What is it that, and even things that, haven't we all said, oh, God, I wish I would have, I had this feeling and I didn't do it. I should have done it. We're constantly shitting on ourselves. Stop shitting on yourselves and move forward, all right? Stop shitting. I should have done, shoulda, coulda, woulda. What good does that do you? But what is your vision of where you want to be in the future? What is it? And go for that dream. Know that if you have a desire, a dream, you wouldn't have it unless you could absolutely do it. And you have the wherewithal to make it happen. Your mind, your dream, your vision. If you have a vision, the universe inspired you because you are the one that's supposed to do that. Don't be afraid. Don't let your past say, no, you're not good enough. You're not smart enough. You don't have the right resources or whatever. Sit with it. Know it. Feel it. You have that power within you. Go into your heart because your head's telling you, no, you can't do it. Your heart's saying, yes, I want this. I want this. I know I should be doing this. But your head's going, no. You can't do this. You're not good enough. And so what are your dreams? I have to say, my whole life shot from the hip. I really, believe me, this is not where I ever thought you'd see me. Never. This was not a dream. Unlike Reverend William, when he came here, he right away thought, no, I just took classes because I enjoyed classes. And I loved learning these teachings because they inspired me and they helped me with my life. And so say yes. If you get a desire, say yes. Know that you have the capabilities. Don't let that voice in your head go, no. Go for it. Just go for it. My next slide, please. Is that it? Oh, that was it. Okay. Sorry about that. I thought I had one more, but you're right. So anyway, back to the future. So remember again, clean out the closet. Let go of things that are no longer serving you. Although I'm happy I didn't because I can fit into this jacket now. Happy I didn't clean out my closet so well. Thank you. And so, but does that mean go back? Go back so that you can move into the future of what it is you want. What is your dream? What are you seeing? What are you believing in your heart? And go for it. Each one of us here has the potential to change the world. That's why we went to the saying, changing lives one heart at a time. Because each one of you can walk out of here and be that lighthouse. I mean, that's kind of my symbol for myself, is a lighthouse. And each one of us has that light. You can do more for this world and feel better about yourself by little acts of kindness. Little thoughts of just, being in the check stand at the store, just saying, hi, how are you doing? And thanking them when you leave for their service. I remember going to a Edwin Gaines workshop. And Vicki Rawson, who used to be here, she was a practitioner. And we were driving down the street, and she goes, oh, there's my grocery store. I'm so grateful for all the people that work for me in there. Think about that. All those people in the grocery store are truly in there working for you. That is your store. They're there stocking it, making sure it's clean when you get there and doing that. And I thought, what a great attitude. Yes, it's my grocery store. That's mine. And things, just the everyday things of life that are so important that you can just be that sweetness, that kindness, that love. If somebody's being angry with you or whatever, that's about them. That's not about you. You know who you are, and you are that light. And take that light wherever you go. Clean up the garbage from the back and move forward into the future, because you do make a difference. If you're here, there's a reason that you are here. I don't mean just here. I mean here, being present in life. And really, truly, how can we not look up at those mountains and just know how blessed we are that the snow's up there and not down here? Right? It's wonderful to see you people that are from Minnesota or back east. Bless you. I know that you're happy to be here right now. If you're watching from Minnesota, hey, I'm sorry, it's 54 here, 55, but, we're complaining about that, and, but we are so blessed. And don't you feel this valley is like this little cocoon of love around us, surrounding us with beauty and love, and how blessed we are to be here. Never take that for granted. Never take any day for granted, because you're never going to get this day back. So live in going back, live in the moment though, but plan for the future. I love you all. Thank you.